It was a crisp morning in downtown Manhattan. The air was sharp with the first hints of winter, and the streets buzzed with the usual chaos of the city. In the midst of this, a young man stood on the corner of a busy street, his face dirty and his clothes ragged. His name was Leo, and like so many others in the city, he had nowhere to go. But Leo had a sharp eye, and something about today felt different. As he wandered near the high-end restaurants and luxury shops, he caught sight of a figure that made his heart race, a figure that had made headlines for years. Victor Harrington, the billionaire tech mogul, stood outside a five-star restaurant, his chauffeur holding the door open for him. The sight of him made Leo pause. Harrington was a man who had everything, yet Leo knew something about him, something that might just change everything. As Harrington walked past Leo, the homeless boy felt an odd compulsion to speak up. His voice cracked as he muttered under his breath, "Don't eat it. Don't eat that food, Mr. Harrington." The billionaire stopped in his tracks, turning to face the scruffy figure on the sidewalk. His eyes narrowed in confusion. "What are you talking about?" Harrington asked, his tone dripping with disdain. Leo stepped forward, his voice trembling with urgency. "Your wife. She poisoned it. The food. It's all part of her plan. You can't trust her." The words hung in the air like a heavy weight. The crowd around them started to buzz, whispers circulating as some people caught wind of the scene. Harrington's face flushed with anger. "Are you out of your mind?" he spat, his eyes scanning the street for any sign of security. But Leo wasn't done. "I've seen her, Mr. Harrington. I've seen what she's been doing when you're not around. She's been working with someone. They want you gone. Your wealth, your empire. They want it for themselves." Harrington took a step back, his disbelief shifting to curiosity. Something about the way Leo spoke. It wasn't just a random claim. There was something in his eyes, a certainty that made Harrington hesitate for just a moment. "What do you mean? Who's she working with?" Leo hesitated, but then pulled a crumpled piece of paper from his pocket. I've seen the messages. I followed her last night. She's been meeting with a man, a powerful one. I don't know his name, but he's connected. They're plotting something against you." Victor Harrington stood frozen, the chaos of the street around him blurring as his mind raced. His wife, Cassandra, the woman he had trusted more than anyone. Could she really be planning something so sinister? He had no proof, no concrete evidence, but the sudden doubt that crept into his mind made his blood run cold. Leo continued, his voice barely above a whisper. "She's going to make sure you eat it today. She's been slipping the poison in your meals for weeks. But today is the day it'll work. You'll be gone, and she'll take everything." Harrington's heart pounded in his chest as he thought about the dinner he was about to have with Cassandra at the restaurant. He had been waiting to celebrate their anniversary, a night of luxury and romance. But now, all he could think about was whether he was walking into a trap. "How do you know all of this?" Harrington demanded. His mind was racing, his every instinct telling him to leave, to get away. But something about Leo's face, something about the raw desperation in his eyes, was forcing him to listen. Leo's eyes dropped to the ground. "I've been watching her for weeks. She doesn't know I've been following her, but I saw her meeting with someone in the shadows. She's been getting instructions, talking about how you'd never see it coming. She's waiting for tonight." For a moment, there was a silence between them, broken only by the distant sound of car horns and the hum of the city. Then, with a deep breath, Harrington made a decision. "Take me to her. I want to see for myself." Leo's eyes widened. "You can't go back there. It's too late." But Victor was resolute. "I need to know the truth." The night fell quickly, and as Harrington's limousine pulled up to his lavish penthouse, he felt a growing sense of unease. The city lights flickered below, but it felt as though the darkness had descended over him. Inside, Cassandra was waiting. She was seated at the dining table, a glass of wine in hand, her stunning figure bathed in the soft glow of the candlelight. Her smile was as flawless as ever, her eyes sparkling with a warmth that now felt distant and hollow to him. "Darling," she greeted him with a soft, affectionate tone. "You're just in time. Dinner is served." Harrington stood in the doorway, his mind a whirlwind of thoughts. Was it true? Could Leo, a homeless boy, have really known about the plot against him? Or was it all some twisted game? I need to talk to you, he said, his voice low. What's been going on? Who have you been meeting with? Cassandra's smile faltered for a brief second, but she quickly regained her composure. What do you mean, darling? You're just tired. Come, sit. We'll talk after dinner. But Harrington's instinct screamed at him. He glanced over at Leo, who was standing near the door, watching with tense anticipation. He turned back to Cassandra, his heart hammering in his chest. No, I know what you've been doing. I know you've been working with someone. Who is it? Tell me the truth. Her eyes darkened, the warmth draining from her face. For a moment, she said nothing, just standing there as if deciding what to say next. And then, with a voice colder than the evening air, she spoke. You should have never trusted me, Victor. But now it's too late. Harrington's world tilted as he saw her reach for the wine glass, the very glass that had been sitting there since he walked in. He watched as she carefully took another sip, her eyes never leaving his face. And then, something unexpected happened. Leo, who had been silent this entire time, suddenly rushed forward, knocking the glass from her hand just as she was about to offer it to him. You fool, she screamed. You ruined everything. Harrington's eyes widened as he looked down at the shattered glass on the floor. Leo had saved his life. But why? As the room fell into chaos, a shocking revelation hit Harrington like a thunderclap. Leo wasn't just some homeless boy. He was the key to a much larger mystery, one that was much darker than he could have ever imagined. Victor's heart pounded in his chest as he stared at Leo, who had just saved his life. Cassandra stood frozen, her eyes filled with venom. You don't understand, Victor. Leo was never just a homeless boy. He's been part of this from the beginning. Leo stepped forward, his eyes intense. She's not who you think she is. You've been blinded by your wealth, your power, but I know the truth. Cassandra laughed bitterly. Oh, this is rich. You still trust him over me? The one who stood by your side for years. Victor's mind raced. Leo's warning, the shattered glass. It was all starting to make sense. But something didn't sit right. What do you mean, Leo? He asked, his voice shaky. Leo's gaze was steady. I'm the son of someone she's been working with. My father wants to take you down, Victor. He's been pulling the strings behind the scenes. I've been watching her to make sure she doesn't finish the job. Cassandra's face contorted in rage. You're lying. He's just a street rat. I've done everything for you. And this is how you repay me. Leo's eyes softened. I never wanted this for you, Cassandra. But you chose the wrong side. Victor turned to her, his mind finally clearing. You've been planning this all along. But why? What do you gain from my death? Cassandra's smile was cold. Everything, Victor. The company, the fortune, the power. It all becomes mine. The room fell silent as the weight of her confession sank in. But before anyone could speak, the door to the penthouse flew open. In stepped a man, tall and shadowed, his presence commanding. Enough, Cassandra, he said, his voice deep. You've failed. Cassandra's face turned pale. No, you promised me. The man stepped forward, revealing a scarred face, one Victor recognized instantly. It was his own brother, Derek, thought to be dead for years. Victor's mind spun. Derek? You were behind this too? Derek's smile was wicked. I never left, Victor. I've been waiting for this moment. And as the truth unraveled, Victor realized the conspiracy went deeper than he ever imagined. With his life hanging in the balance, he knew the game was far from over.